Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FM Honor podcast show with your host, the FM Honor. My name is Adewale. This is our Champions League series I personally call the Clash of Champions. And yes, Champions League is back. We have some entertaining highlights from last week. Erling Haaland scored his 50th Champions League goal in 49 appearances. Harry Kane, doing Hurricane things, scored a brace against Chelsea and has now scored 100 goals in 104 games for Bayern Munchen in just, roughly 2.5 years or almost 3 years. Some other highlights included Real Madrid getting the classic penalty situation where they got a 2-1 win against Marseille. Liverpool saw out Atletico Madrid 3-2. And so many more highlights. I think the major one that stood out for me was the Sporting CP game against Karatamati, where many of us that went for Pedro Goncalves or Luis Suarez did not get any much points, but Queneda, who was priced out of position, or rather put in a different position as a defender, got the most points in that match with 10 points to his own name. And it was nice bringing him out as a differential of the week, seeing him do well. Unfortunately, I didn't go for him. Welcome to FM Mana Podcast Show. This is your host, the FM Mana. My name is Adewale. As at the time of recording, you will not believe it. It's literally 1:32 a.m. on a Monday. I have a hectic schedule waiting for me by the time sun rises. So this is the only free time I have to really record this. Thank you for tuning in to our last week's pod or space with the champion that was with us last week. And we really had fun speaking with our champion last week. And I really thank you guys for joining us on that little segue to the season starting. We will try and see if we can do that again. Going ahead into the season, maybe Game Week 5 review. We'll do like a first 4 weeks review. Let's see how things pan out. If we can work on another feature. Yeah. So moving into the crux of matters, we have a lot to talk about. I don't know. I have an impossible task. I have to somehow record this in 15 minutes, so it's not too boring for you guys that like short attention span. I have to record this in 15 minutes. So I will try and time myself. I will not put a timer, so I will focus. I have a few talking points I would like to share with you guys. I'm going to talk about top captain picks. We'll talk about my last team. How did he perform? What are my takeaways? What mistakes did I make? What were the best highlights? Talk about injury updates. Raphinha is out for 3 weeks. Garcia is out for 4 to 6 weeks. Real Madrid are without a right back. Both Trent Alexander-Arnold and Carvajal are both injured. Valverde might be playing as a right back. So many injury news. Lamine Yamal is back. He played like some minutes from the bench for Barcelona tonight or the last night that passed and contributed to the win that helped them see the game out 2-1. And so many updates. I will really check all of them later. I mean, there's Kvaratskhelia who gets to who it might be uncertain to feature in the game against Barcelona on Tuesday. So I have a lot to talk about and I'll try and put a timestamp in this video. And for those listening on Spotify, please be patient as we'll skim through most of what we are going to talk about. Thank you. Let's get it started. The time is 1:34. Let's see if I can finish this in 10-ish minutes. Amen. Alright, so let's start with my team of the week or my team of last week. And let's see how we performed. So last week, let me put this in full screen. Last week, I got 94 points. 94 points. It should have been 98. It should have been 98 points, but I'll tell you why it wasn't 98 points. So this was my last week team. I got 94 points. Kylian Mbappe was my captain the first day. Harry Kane followed up with 15 points. I didn't change my captaincy. I left it on Kylian Mbappe. I think my major highlight here was Kenan Yildiz with a 5% ownership at the time, getting 12 points. Less than 10% ownership. Now he's on 16% ownership. So it was a kind of a huge moment for me there. Double Tottenham defense also stood out. I got 14 points from that cathedral also of players. And I think the last day was kind of disappointing. I think I had 10k ranking at the first day, but dropped to like 91,000 after that. The mistake I made here was on Wednesday, I forgot to make an early swap. I left Hakimi on the bench. I supposed to have swapped him out for at least one of Hoisin or Rice at the time, but let's say life happens, right? I had other things going on. I couldn't do that change at the time, and I didn't have like network access with me on my phone, so I kind of forgot about the audio. But yeah, 94 points, and I'm sure you're seeing it on my screen. I'm 91,792. That's my current rank out of 1.25 million. I mean, it's not too bad, but I kind of expected that I would, but I'll probably get much more. But it's cool. It's like the first week. Calm. 100 points was not even enough to stay in a green arrow within the week. So it was the high scoring week. Let's see if that can continue going forward. So when I was chatting with the champion last time, there was a quote I mentioned: smart decisions, consistent high scores, and bold risk. That is the strategy he used to win the game last season. So I'm trying to adapt his own tactics. But for us to make smart decisions, we need to be up to date with what's going on in the world of Twitter. So we are going to X right now to see injury updates that have occurred so far. I have bookmarked a few, so I'll just try and list the ones that I remembered or I can see right now on my screen. So I have bookmarked a few. So there's some stats I've also bookmarked, but let's go to injury updates. So first in front of my screen here, Dani Carvajal is out for 4 weeks. Out for 4 weeks. For that's according to Madrid news. We also have both Dani Carvajal and Trent Alexander-Arnold miss possible 1 month. About 6 games there listed on the screen. Kairat, Villarreal, Getafe, Juventus, and even a Clásico coming up soon. So October is basically done for them. Also Eder Militao will be missing the game. He's not injured per se. He's not injured. His boy is out. I think they just wanted to rest him, or he will need a minor treatment for, I don't know. I can't really tell what exactly was wrong, but basically he's not going to feature on the Tuesday game as well. What else? Yes, PSG. There's news that came out from this channel, Les Parisiens, giving updates that Kvaratskhelia is out, or may or may not feature for the next game. So I'll quickly just put this on the screen. I don't spend too much time on injuries, but it's very important we know what's going on in the world of football to have an update on who is available and who is not available. So this is the update here. I'm trying to translate it. Okay, from French to English. All right. Yes. So PSG may have returned to winning ways on Saturday, but they have lost Kvaratskhelia, with Raphinha being substituted earlier than expected. This is a cause for concern on Wednesday. So we need to wait to see if there's any chance that Kvaratskhelia is back. But, in this article, at least from what I can read so far, he's not going to be available. I don't have there's a paywall there. I can't read everything, but basically he's out or somewhat out. Let's just give it a 50% chance of him making it. But Raphinha might be back for the next game. As it's positive on him returning against Barcelona. What else? Medical update. I've talked about Jan Garcia. I've talked about Raphinha. That's basically it. That's basically it. Looking at my talking points, I don't want to spend too much time. Remember, I have a deadline. I spend 6 minutes here. Teams to target this week. Best teams to target. On paper, it's Inter Milan. Inter are facing Slavia Praha at home. They had a very convincing 2-0 win last time, where Thuram scored a brace. Now this time Lautaro Martinez is back in the front line. Giannoli is also been giving us giving the Serie A team some consistent returns. And there's still Dumfries, there's still Bastoni, there's still, what's the left back's name again? Di Marco. So there are many assets to look out for, and they are at home this time to Slavia Praha. So most likely it's going to end in a 2 or 3, 4-0. Who knows? It's going to be a very positive score for Inter. Bayern Munchen are also that team to target, playing Pafos at home. We know Company, at least from the Club World Cup, we could tell from experience that he's going to field a strong team. Predicted lineups have also given us a benefit of doubt that he's going to field a strong team. This is predicted lineups from Aimé Samea, and this is the kicker predicted lineups. What we can see here: Bayern are going all out. It's a very strong lineup here. Luis Diaz, Gnabry, Olise, Kane in front. Lima will play on the left back position as he did last weekend to cover for Stanisic that is also out the international break, after international break. And Boye on right back. So there's some differentials you could look out for here. Pavlovic starting ahead of there's this guy that did well in the weekend. I can't remember his name now. I'm sure I'll see it in the comments. Bishop for Sobia. So who knows? Some changes could happen. Well, we could see players like Luis Diaz. I think it's raining. We'll see players like Luis Diaz probably play 60-70 minutes. Who knows? In terms of it depends on their performance. But I think I'm very certain that Harry Kane plays that full 90 because they will not take any chances against Pafos. They have to increase that goal difference to extend their stay on top of the table. At least try and finish first in the league phase. So Inter, Bayern, and teams to target Arsenal. Arsenal this time at home against Olympiacos. I saw a stat I showed you guys last time, or I intentionally showed you guys. I talked about Arsenal's most goals scored. Arsenal scored 36 goals from corners. So if you have an Arsenal player, try and make sure you bring in one that might score from corner. Gabriel scored one to help them secure the win against Newcastle just a few hours ago that passed. And if you have an Arsenal defender, you have a Gabriel, you have a Timber, you have Califor, you just make sure you have one because they'll most likely score a set piece goal. I have Rice in my team, so I'm kind of confident, even if he doesn't contribute in terms of from open play, he can definitely create an assist from corner. So I might even have to not consider bringing like a Saka eventually because I have the set piece FC in my team. So moving on, those are the top three teams to target. There's also Napoli as well. They just lost their first game of the season right now in the Serie A, not all competitions. Bayern are the only team yet unbeaten. Have won all their games rather across all competitions. There's Napoli. I don't know. I'm not really confident in Spurs as I used to be. So I'll say maybe Real Madrid, obviously, against Kairat. The issue around Real Madrid now is how many minutes would Mbappe play? Obviously, I don't need to be afraid of him getting benched, or we should not be afraid of him getting benched because Kairat have the first game. Uzbekistan team play first, so we'll get to know the lineups before the deadline comes. So I should not be afraid of that. The question now is how many minutes will Mbappe play? There's also some other options they have on the bench. There's Rodrigo. There's this Garcia guy that did well in the Club World Cup. So we have to look at those options. And speaking too much now, I need to wrap up this pod in the next 5 minutes. I extended my time again. But I think before I move on, I need to quickly rush this. Best Raphinha replacement. So Raphinha is out. We have already seen that update. Raphinha is out for 3 weeks, so he's not going to be back till post-international break. Yes. So we have Raphinha that is out for at least 3 weeks. So he's going to be back probably after international break because this is a week now. International break is 2 weeks time. So Raphinha will be back after international break. So who is the best replacement on paper for Raphinha? In my head, I have Saka as a likely swap for swap replacement. 9.5, both of them at the same price tag. So if you don't want to sweat it out, you want to just swap Raphinha. Saka is like the direct replacement. I mean, he has not been on form per se, but at 1% you could probably just get some goals behind, and help Arsenal win. I don't know. I'm not seeing him score double digits, but there's a chance he does that against Olympiacos. Saka. Obviously Lamine Yamal, the number 10, is back. He has shown his direct influence right from the bench against which team did they play this? I was not paying attention. They won 2-1 though, but Lamine Yamal is back and it's going to be a good addition for the side as they host PSG, who have some injury concerns with Desiree out and also Kylian Desiree and the Ballon d'Or winner, Ousmane Dembele. So that is like most likely, but you can go higher or lower in terms of Raphinha's replacement. You could come down to like an Olise, for example. You could come down to someone like Adeyemi, for example, as well. Also on form recently. Olise is also playing Pafos, so why not? Adeyemi is also a good option as well for a likely, cheaper replacement. And who else am I thinking of that probably evaded my mind. I have your list here. Phil Foden, definitely Foden has been on form for Man City, and you know when Foden plays in Champions League, he's going to get that Man of the Match award. So these are other options. You can consider the Napoli boys as well, Mark Sos, McTominay, and Kevin De Bruyne, and so on and so forth. Top captain picks for the week, as you can see in front of me here, is just it's not Kylian Mbappe rather. We have 2 days, we have 2 captain picks. Top captain pick is actually Harry Kane. He's on form, 100 goals in 104 matches for the German side, playing perfect. He's going to definitely score at least 2, if not 3, depends on how Bayern really score in that match. It might be 5-0, it might be 6-0. We have seen them score almost 10 in the Club World Cup, so let's not underestimate Paphos. I know we have some Paphos fans. I just got a Paphos follower that followed me, so I'm sure you might listen to this later, but just go for Harry Kane for 3-1. I mean, you might have your doubts on Kylian Mbappe, but I prefer Kane. That's my preference. You could go for an Inter asset. Thuram is also a good option, but personally, top captain pick is Kane. Second best option for day 2, Lamine Yamal is back. He's definitely going to make an impact for Barcelona in a big game of the sort, so I will see Lamine Yamal for the second day against PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. There are also some other decent options there. There's Sergio Guirassy. There's also the man himself, 8 goals in the season so far in the Premier League. I think about 9 or so overall. Erling Haaland, who has also been on solid form for Man City, scoring basically over 40% of their goals this season. He's the one to bank on for attacking returns here against Monaco. This is a difficult time. Monaco are very difficult to beat in their home ground, so let's see how that turns out for Man City. Yeah, it's raining and I have to wrap this up, so I'll just say my differential of the week. I did this episode and post. My differential of the week is actually Estevao of Chelsea. Estevao. The only issue now, I'm not sure how many minutes he plays, but I don't know, with the way Benfica considered 3 goals in the final set of minutes against Carvajal, I'm not saying it's going to repeat itself, but Chelsea needs to really strengthen their legs or their arms or wherever the part of their body they have to strengthen this particular game, because after now they're facing Liverpool at home, and they lost the game to Manchester United, they lost the game to Brighton this weekend, so a win needs to come somewhere, and a game like this is one that's going to help them stay confidence. So the differential of the week is Estevao. The other differentials there, you could look at the other differentials, but I'm really running out of time, and I have to rest, sleep, edit these posts on different platforms, including the YouTube videos and all of that. So Estevao is really the best option. I'm not sure how many minutes he plays, but I think he did decently against Brighton, if not because of some tactical decisions that took him off early. I see him doing well. I'm not sure I could bring him in though, but if you are interested, if you are playing on Limitless, you are playing your wildcard, he's best option to bring. Unfortunately, I don't have time to talk about cheap strategy, but fingers crossed I might post about it, who knows, very soon. But I have to wrap this up now, so if you are still here by now, try and subscribe so you can see my more videos like this going forward. And that'll be all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Have a pleasant week ahead, and ciao. Have a nice day, guys.